Thank you very much, Mr. Weber.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to follow up on what Congressman Bonamici said, Dr. Johnson, if I may. She asked you the question, where does sexual harassment start? But I want to ask you a different question. Where does it end? And here's what I mean by that. You talked about in the field there seems to be a lack of understanding of codes of conduct, which I find astounding because you would think that should have been made obviously apparent in the institutions. And then you said there was a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding on how to report. So if we're going to end this, how do you fix those two problems?
Our report gives a number of recommendations, and one particular one is if we look at what training should at least include from the knowledge we have now, understanding that there's more research to be done in terms of what are the most effective strategies. It's very clear that training that is targeted towards particular groups and not just a vanilla training across all is indicated. So specific training for students, for postgraduate students, for faculty and staff. The experience is different across those different groups and requires different types of training. It's also clear that certain types of training should not focus on changing beliefs, but should focus on changing behavior. Often, training that is online and brief is focused on really understanding some of the rules, which is beneficial, but it really does not get at the heart of how we need to change behavior.
Well, that sounds interesting to me, that training should be focused on not changing beliefs, but if we don't encourage people to think differently, that some that believe they're entitled or believe they can get away with stuff or whatever, that seems a little incongruous with what we need to be doing. And I know y'all researched that, and so you're educated in that, and I appreciate that. I want to go over to Mr. Newman and follow up with what Congressman Bonamici said also. Mr. Newman, you said there was 5 agencies, and she asked, were they having conversations about this? And you've studied these 5 agencies. Is there one person generally in charge when you did this study? In each of these agencies, was there one person accountable for addressing this issue and relaying that back to you and interfacing with you?
Well, there's a variety of offices depending on the agency that are involved. It's usually the civil rights or diversity offices that are involved in enforcing sexual harassment policies.
Do you give them is there a time when you double back, or do you just do the one study and you're done?
No, we have and actually we're continuing to do additional work. So we had initial conversations. We met with different officials at the agencies, gathered documentation, reviewed that documentation. Now we go back and finalize our analysis with them. And the last step of the process is getting their input, so they have a chance to give us any additional evidence before we make any final recommendations.
Do you give them a grade, a report card, if you will?
We certainly will point out any weaknesses and areas that we see could be improved and make recommendations.
And is that information made public to anybody who's seeking to come be employed there or come to a college, for example, or be a grantee? And we'll come back to you, Dr. Is it Cass or Coss?
Cass. Cass
in just a minute. But do you give them a report card? Do you make that information public so that anybody wanting to go to work there knows the pervading atmosphere there, Mr. Newman?
Well, so we wouldn't be giving a report card, for the universities. We're focused on the federal agency.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Right. So we wouldn't be looking. Yeah. So we'd be providing recommendations that would be made publicly available on our website, and agencies will take action in response to that.
Okay. And then, Dr. Cass, you said something. Thank you for that, Mr. Newman. Dr. Cass, you said something that got my attention. You said that the program. Somebody asked you about going after the C grant, the C deal. And you said it was fashioned after a UK program.
That's correct. In the United Kingdom, there is a program called Athena SWAN. And that program, which has been around for a number of years. Athena-SWAN, S-W-A-N.
Okay.
And the program exists to try to help United Kingdom universities diversify their faculty, particularly with respect to gender.
Okay, and then you said one thing that caught my attention. I think you said that program had permeated the institutions in UK.
Yeah, many universities in the United Kingdom are either bronze, silver, or gold certified. And indeed, for some government grants, it is required that you achieve a certain level of certification in order to become eligible to even apply for those grants.
Okay, well, I've got other questions, but I'm over my time. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back.